Hello, it's Matthew here. And what this episode is going to be about health and wealth issues together, and how I believe that your investments and my current investments will help me live to 120 years old. If you're interested to hear more, stay tuned. A couple of years back, I started reading and also following a person called David Sinclair. You can YouTube him, and his recent books is about life extension research and how an average person now could expect to live to 120 years old based on the current research and technologies that are happening in the world. Apart from also doing intermittent fasting, drinking a lot of green tea, exercising, controlling your sugar intake, bread and pasta intakes, and no desserts, and also having certain supplements which is resveratrol, NMN, metamorphin, metformin, and other ones, vitamin D and so forth. I made some notes on that, and it's been a couple of years now, and I'm sort of looking back on that and also seeing what's been happening recently. And what I'm sort of seeing, obviously, is there's a lot of energy and investments and money happening where and technologies where this is all congregating together to form some basis. If we've been following Cathie Wood with her ARK investments, and especially with her ARK-G Genomic Revolution ETF. So she's recently been investing a lot and getting very good returns in all her funds, and she's been given even more money. Last 12 months, I think she's tripled her investment portfolio in terms of the amount of money she has to spend or has to spend into getting returns. And she's invested in a lot of her ideas, invested in a lot of forward-thinking companies in looking at where the future will be. Example, a few years back was Tesla, and what the future of EVs would be. And for biotech, she's looking at Teladoc, Pacific Biosciences of California, CRISPR, Twist Biosciences, Invitae, to name a few. You can just jump on the website, and she has all her explanations written there. But with that in mind, with all this money that she has to spend, my question is, how far will she and her ARK investment and this fund be able to shift the life expectancy curve of the human or the worldwide population? Because if, based on her success, she's got $65 billion, say she's got 6 funds, she has $10 billion to place into these companies, will the acceleration at the right timing with AI, machine learning, visual mapping, and visual learning with machine learning, the theory has been, or the last couple of years, is that things are going to be going logarithmically up in terms of advancements. So that's why she's betting big on biotech. So how that crosses over with the view that our life expectancy around the world, based from ourworlddata.org, which I'll place the map here. I'll place multiple charts here on what's been happening since the 80s till say 2020. But what happens after that if we're growing exponentially from now on with data sciences and these investments into this area? Perhaps this is another catalyst which David Sinclair before thought would happen, which has happened with the EV market and with Tesla. Tesla grew, but nobody trusted it. Companies placed their money into it. Cathie Wood also placed a lot of money into it, and trusting Elon Musk, things have been skyrocketing up. And then the world with electronic vehicles, with cars on the road, with self-driving, is imminent now, and it's almost an accepted fact based on all the most of the car companies around the world. 2030, 2040, 2050, they're going to be getting rid of all petrol cars and turning electric. So will this genomic revolution be the next phase, which will lead to us moving that life expectancy graph up the next level and to change our lives fundamentally for the longer? First, the second question to ask is, do we want to live to 120? Do we want to increase from 80 to 90 to hit that 100, 110, 120 level in one generation? Or should it be done over stages? Because most people's minds now expect to retire at 60 to live, because they expect to live to 80 and 90. That next jump, are we moving too fast in this genomic revolution? So the chart that I'll show here right now is the number of years we'll live for different countries around the world, in the developed countries and the developing countries. And you'll see here that the African nations has always, and if these numbers are correct, they're still struggling. I've never been to Africa, but those rates seem very, very low for life expectancy. But also, after looking at on the ourworlddata.org website, you sort of also notice that they also have charts explaining the number of years lived healthy life, as opposed to also with a disability. So as you get older, you tend to get sick. There's nothing new about that. So when we view life expectancy, we shouldn't be looking at those top numbers. We should be looking at the numbers where we expect to live a healthy, disease and disability-free life, to be able to say that we're going to live a full, fruitful life. It's no point living to 120 and be sick at 90 to live 30 years in sickness. That isn't what the idea of being healthy would be. So apart from being physically, your temple being well, we also want to be financially well, and the family and friends, everything else, the whole system around you has to be able to cope with that life expectancy change. This other chart also shows you, in terms of certain countries you want to live in, whether or not there's a bias to being in North America and Australia. Obviously that's higher than, say, China, and Japan is high. But say Hong Kong, I've always known that Hong Kong has a relatively high life expectancy, but it's not reflected here. It's only reflected as a greater China. So another reason why I'm making this video today is because I just watched another video from Graham Stephan. He's got nearly 3 million YouTube followers now, and he's just done the YouTube video on why millennials should not invest. And it goes through saying that when you're 20, you shouldn't be investing. You should start investing when you're 40. This is not what he's saying. He's saying that we should be starting to invest earlier on, 20, for the compounding effect, which we all know. But what is the savings per week or per year that you need to make to save up 1.5 million, which they believe is a retirement amount, US dollars this is, 1.5 million US dollars as a retirement value you should have when you retire. But it didn't say exactly the age, so I assume that they normally think they're going to retire at 60 and die at 85. So apart from your health issues on living to 120, the wealth issue from compounding earlier on to get enough to save to 120 is another key issue which we must also consider. And also which country you should be living in, if you have the ability to move. Whether or not the country you're in now is the right country that has the higher life expectancy, and also high life expectancy, say in case you got unwell, or if you have family, if you have a gene issue within your family where you know you're going to be Maybe when you hit 60, you're going to have certain issues. You're in a diabetic, a history of diabetic, history of heart failure. These things, which country you're in is also very important, and whether you can live another 10 or 20 or 30 years after that. So it's something to keep in mind for those that have the ability to travel when the COVID virus disease is lifted and away from us. So yeah, it's something interesting. So I just thought I'd just throw that out, and hopefully with Cathie Wood, with her investments in these companies and how she pushes the market around the world and in China and wherever her investments, her money goes, those businesses tend to thrive. And hopefully my dream of one day living to 120 could happen. So yeah, that's what this channel is for, to hopefully we can all live to 120, but also live a healthy life with reasonable wealth, so that we can survive any ups and downs as we go through life for us. Okay, hopefully this gives you a little bit of value. Stay tuned. Please subscribe if there's any value, like and comment and forward. I still need comments. It's a very early new channel, which I'm still trying to formulate what I'm going to do to bring more value. But I thought this has been a few issues of what's been happening, and it's all congregated into some theory now. So thanks a lot. Tune in, take care, and have a great night.